behind the eye. This recipe of the materials I did send to Harold, so he may be able to get it out to everybody.
He emailed.
He did email it?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Just passed it out also.
Tried
Oh, I didn't know that.
last minute.
Okay, I'm going to tie back to the point of the hook,
Well, you had some help.
Thanks.
and I'm going to stop at the point. I'm going to double this material by, I'm just going to fold it over the thread. Try to make sure it's pretty close to equal lengths on both sides. Just going to double this over. I'm going to tie it in. What I like to do is go halfway between, to a point halfway between the point of the hook and the barb of the hook. Take one wrap underneath. I'm just going to leave it right on top, and I'm going to put it in my material clip. This is Buggy Nymph material. I like to pull mine out in small little tugs, like a 1/4 inch at a time, 1/16 1/4 inch at a time, until I get a fairly long noodle of the materials. Okay, and there's a couple of ways to tie this in. One way is just to normally dub it in. The way I do that is I'm going to tie in the tip, only slide it up, wrap it around twice. Okay. Once it's locked in, I can dub all the way down the hook, or all the way down the thread, nice and long, fairly tight, and I'm just going to wrap the whole hook all the way up. Doesn't matter if they're close or not. And I'm going to go all the way back. Now I'm showing you two methods of dubbing here. Now, this material is fairly springy, so you may have to redub it a couple of times. But as soon as I do this, I'm going to take it off and show you what I really like to do, and that's use a dubbing twister. So there's a basic body that I would rib, but I really like to use my dubbing twister because I think it reinforces it. It also can make the material a little bit wider. So I'm just going to pull all this off of here, and I'm going to do it with the dubbing twister so you can see the two different methods.
Comes off that nice for me.
Me either.
This is a basic, I don't know, $12, $16 Dyna King dubbing twister. It's real easy to work with. I'm just going to make a loop. I'm going to tie against the two pieces of thread I'm holding on to, and then I'm going to go around it and just tie that down and bring the thread back forward. Take my dubbing twister. I'm just going to set the two prongs in. You can see that okay on the screen? And I'm just going to let it set right against the bobbin. Shouldn't twist up or anything. I'm going to take some more of this material. Since I like to actually pull it out the end and then make my little dubbing noodle by just pulling out a bit at a time. Did it about 11, 12 times. Just going to compact that together. Stretch it out a little. I'm going to put my finger in. Just going to slide this in. The general idea is to get it fairly close to the hook shank. Once you get it in, grab the two threads together and take your dubbing spinner and just spin it. Spin it a second time. Nice and tight. Instant dub body. Now you're going to see there's going to be openings in some places. Spin it again. Okay? Until it's fully closed and you don't see the black thread anymore. Now you see lumps in here, right? But I can actually move this dubbing around with my fingers a little bit at this point. Then I can go ahead and wrap this in. Now, one of the reasons I like this dubbing spinner more than just a standard dub is you see once it's on the thread, I can spread it out a little like this and make a more even noodle. Just wrap this forward. Until I get about 3 eye lengths from the eye, and I'm going to take one wrap back and then the last wrap with the black thread forward. 2 times and then over itself back again and then tie it all off. 3 or 4 wraps, trim. We're going to take out our ribbing material. Since I double it over, I now have 4 strands, right? I'm wetting my fingers because it makes it easier for me to hold the material. And now I'm going to counterwind this through the dub body I just did. This glisten glow is just really cool, bright stuff. Now I have 4 strands that are basically reinforced. I'm going to wind this forward 3 turns, and then I'm going to wind 1 turn back against itself and tie it off and trim it off. I don't like to create a little halo, so I'll take my dubbing tool, and notice that as I'm picking this out, I'm going backwards, and turn this around, do the same thing. All I'm going to do is what's called folding the hackle down the center stem. Now, when you have short pieces like this to work with, one of the easiest things to do is to take a pair of the J. Doran hackle pliers. So you've got now something long to work with. Hold it way out at the tip, and you're going to push your fingers slightly forward, then down and back. When you push them slightly forward, you're lining the fibers up. Down and back is breaking them against the stem so that you end up with this little V shape. When I wind this on, it's going to be a lot easier to handle, and the fibers are going to be going in the proper direction. So I'm going to take the tip, I'm going to do 1 more fold and hold them back. I can trim a little triangle in here. I can put this right up against the side of the hook at a 45-degree angle and tie it in. Okay, now, first wrap. I'm going to take my fingers and pull the fibers back. As I'm wrapping around to make the second wrap, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold the fibers back. If something wants to move forward, just take your fingers right against the shank of the hook. Okay? And here goes the third wrap around. And I'm going to stop. What we're using is brown English partridge. 3 turns, trim off. Okay, now once I trim it off, I can have a little stem problem here for my next operation. So I'm just going to, okay, I'm using 8/0 by the way, so I'm putting a lot more wraps on than you'll need to with 6/0. I'm just going to even this up so I have a nice even flat base to work with right now. Okay, we need to talk about ostrich for a second. With the curve towards you, not away from you. If you're a left-handed tire, you're going to use the right-hand side. If you're a right-handed tire, you're going to use the left-hand side. Does anyone know why? Because if you look at this, take one of these fibers and look at it closely under a magnifying glass if you need to. On one side, you're going to see a little piece of stem showing on each one of these pearl pieces. On the other side, there is no stem. So because I'm a left-handed tire, and I want to trim 2 of these off, haven't let go of them, I'm going to line them up so the stems are in the proper direction. I've got 3. I'm going to tie it in underneath the hook shank with the stem facing forward. Okay? First wrap is the most important because I got to make sure that both stems are facing forward. If they are, want them right next to each other. And I can start wrapping this forward 3 or 4 turns, and I can tie it off with 2 turns and then whip finish. Put on a little head cement. Trim it off and we're done.